Hey, and welcome back to another video. One of my roles at DriveTribe is to help run our YouTube channels, and a big part of that, which I think is often undervalued, is creating the thumbnails for all of our videos. A lot of people don't even consider custom thumbnails when they make and upload their videos, but it's a great way to get extra views. More often than not, the thumbnail will be the first thing users see, and it's just as, if not more important than the title of the video. YouTube is highly competitive, and a good thumbnail is your chance to grab someone's attention before they scroll past your video. There are a few criteria I run through when I'm making a thumbnail. I want it to convey what's going on in the video, I want it to be fairly clean and not too busy, easy to read on a phone, and I want it to be honest. I don't want to deceive or clickbait, but I do want it to be very clicky. I think there's definitely a fine line between clicky and clickbait, and I'm sure I've crossed that in the past, but it's never my intention to deceive the audience. I thought the easiest way to show you what I think makes a good thumbnail would be to go through the process of how I make them. I'm going to look at thumbnails I've made in the past and explain what was going through my mind when I made them. Let's start with DriveTribe. This is a video we filmed with Richard Hammond and the new Land Rover Defender. Although it's about the new Defender, there's a scene in which Richard is talking about his old Defender, which is something I thought should definitely be in the thumbnail. I started with these three pictures, and I quickly decided that the picture of Richard and Blee, his dog, wasn't very relevant as there weren't any cars in it. This left me with these two shots of Richard in front of the cars. I initially preferred this one as Hammond is more visible, but I thought it could be potentially misleading having the old Landy as the main focal point and so little of the new Defender, which is the main focus of the video. So I went for this picture. Although Richard is less prominent, both cars are clearly visible. I brought it into Lightroom to make it a bit brighter. Then it was time to add the text. I always consider the title of the video when I'm making a thumbnail, as they should both work together to give as much information as possible about what to expect in the video. The title for this one was Richard Hammond Takes His Dog for a Walk in the New Defender. Richard, the new Defender, and the dog were covered in the title, so I wanted to bring focus to the old Defender in the thumbnail. This is what I started with. Then I added an arrow pointing to the old Landy, as I didn't want people to think that Richard had bought the new Defender. I was fairly happy with it, but decided it could be better to have a picture of the dog in it. I found a still of Blee, turned it into a PNG, and added her in the foreground. I put her in front of the text to add a bit of depth, and added a dark overlay to make the text pop a bit more, and I was done. You may be wondering what I'm using to make my thumbnails, and the answer is Keynote. I used to use Photoshop, but I realised quite quickly that I didn't need that much functionality, so I switched to Keynote. The second DriveTribe thumbnail I want to look at is from our Lotus Evija video. The title was James May's first look at the 2,000 horsepower Lotus Evija, so naturally I needed a picture of James May and the car. Annoyingly, on the day, I managed to underexpose my pictures pretty badly and had to recover them in Lightroom. Then I moved over to Photoshop to make a version with James and the car cut out, imported them both into Keynote, and added some dark overlays to make James and the car pop. Then I added the text. I wanted to get the price and the horsepower in there, as they're both pretty astonishing figures, which I thought would grab the viewer's attention. You may have noticed that we add the DriveTribe logo into all of our thumbnails. This is to make sure we're consistent and recognizable, but it can also be quite annoying to fit in sometimes. The Lotus thumb was an example where I didn't have much choice on where to place it, so it had to go in the bottom right hand corner. This isn't ideal, as that's where YouTube overlays the video length, so whatever is in the bottom right corner gets obscured. Moving on to my channel, and a thumbnail from a video I filmed last summer in which I'm racing Mike driving an electric Bugatti on my electric longboard around the track at Bicester Heritage. We weren't lucky with the weather that day, and by the time we got around to taking the thumbnail pictures, it was pouring with rain. I wanted to make sure we had a shot of Mike in the car and me on my board while we were on the track. Unfortunately, as it was just the two of us on the shoot, the easiest way to do this was to set my camera rolling, then run back to be in frame. Later, when I was scrubbing through the footage looking for a decent still to use, I noticed a lightning bolt in the background. I decided it should definitely be in the thumbnail, as both the Bugatti and the longboard were electric. Annoyingly, the bolt struck when I wasn't in frame, so I imported a few shots, combined them in Photoshop, then brought them into Lightroom to try and make them look as moody as possible. I then moved into Keynote and added some text. I was worried that the thumbnail looked pretty staged and that the text placement could be better, but I ran out of time and I had to upload it as it was. Luckily, the click-through rate on the end result was pretty strong, so everything worked out okay. I hope this has given you more clarity on what actually goes into making our thumbnails and why custom thumbnails are so important. When you upload a video to YouTube, it automatically generates a thumbnail from stills it thinks are engaging during the video. Sometimes it does a good job, but I'd always recommend creating your own image. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to give it a like if you did. Let me know which thumbnail was your favorite in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.